All right, everyone. I hope everyone had a delicious Thanksgiving. But let's go ahead and jump right into the goings on of the week. Of course, the biggest news being Jurgen Klinsmann got fired, and Bruce Arena is back. So, I thought Jurgen Klinsmann was going to get fired sooner, but after about a week, I figured they weren't going to fire him after all. Figured if they were going to fire him, they needed to fire him sooner. You know, the game was Tuesday. They didn't fire him until the following week. And I figured after a point, they thought, you know what, we got to give this guy, we're going to go ahead and give him a chance, because I thought if they were going to fire him, they were going to fire him that same week, maybe that Thursday or Friday after they thought about it. But no, they fired him right before Thanksgiving. What are you going to do? As I said, I think I mentioned this last time, but in my capacity as a real soccer fan in general, Jurgen Klinsmann had to go. He was a terrible manager. He was never a good manager. He was overrated the moment he came in. And your average fan doesn't understand the ins and outs of the game. And when he came in, everyone was thinking, well, he took Germany to the semifinal of the World Cup, so therefore he has to be a good coach. That's not how it works. You know, there's more to it than just how far did you make it with your national team, with the players that ended up being the best players that are making up the best team in the world right now. It's not just as simple as, well, how far is the furthest he's ever been? When he came on, I didn't think he was going to do much. And in terms of his performance, you know, it wasn't that impressive. I feel like under his rule, the U.S. team stagnated. They didn't really go backwards. They just didn't go anywhere. He talked about all these great ideas he was going to have, and how he was going to revolutionize the way he went about soccer in this country. But if you look at it, nothing like that happened. He didn't make any progress. He didn't do anything special. He did the exact same things as Bob Bradley had done. He didn't change anything. He had some of the similar results. He still couldn't beat Mexico when it counted. Bob Bradley got fired after losing to Mexico in the big game. And the only manager who has been able to defeat Mexico on the biggest stage is Bruce Arena, 2002. That was Bruce Arena, right? And so, what are you going to do? I also think it's not fair to blame. I mean, okay, so Jurgen Klinsmann blamed everyone but himself. He blamed the players for not following his instructions whenever he threw a curveball at them. He blamed the fans for being ignorant, which I don't disagree with. He blamed the media, which I also don't disagree with. He blamed Major League Soccer, which is not Major League Soccer's fault. But basically, he blamed everyone but himself. And I think all his arguments, at least to a point, have some merit. The fans are ignorant. Like I said, the vast majority of fans, they turn on the game when the game is on, and that's it. Few people follow tactics and stuff to the point where you're such a nerd that you actually look up statistics and formations and stuff like that. And I get that. That's not for everyone. A lot of people do that with other sports. People do that with American football. So, I mean, and those people are probably more knowledgeable about the sport and can talk more about it in an intelligent way than others. For example, like, I don't know, whoever. I think the whole fantasy football thing has probably made a lot more fans more knowledgeable about the sport, but not everyone does that. And a lot of people just turn on the U.S. game when the U.S. plays. Not a lot of people watch the German league to look at how the U.S. players is playing in Germany, how their form is. Not a lot of people do that. And so, you blame you can say that the fans are ignorant. You can say that. But you can't blame the fans. You can say that the players didn't follow your strategy. I mean, that's another thing. I think I mentioned this in the past, but Klinsmann does not have the best group of players and talent to work with. And at the same time, you have to, as a coach, you have to say, look, these are the players I have. These are not good enough to play in my system. I have to make a system that fits the players to a certain point. It's not like in club football where you can buy the players you want to fit your system if you can afford them. This is the system I want to play. You guys are not the players. I'm going to sell you this offseason, and I'm going to purchase the ones that fit my philosophy. That's not how it works. You have the players that you have. You have the players that are born in your country that are eligible to play for you. You can't buy. It's not like Jurgen Klinsmann could go to Germany, Spain, Italy, and buy Italian players, give them a green card, and have them play for the U.S. That's not how it works. It's different. And I don't think Jurgen ever understood that. When he was in Germany, he had talent. Here, he didn't have the talent he needed to play the system he wanted to play, and he was unable to adapt. So he made the players fit into a system that they couldn't play. So it's the players' fault to a point, but it's also his fault. And as far as him blaming the MLS is never going to be a good league. The reason for that is it's competing with leagues that are more important in other countries. And I think that is the biggest reason why the MLS is never going to be good, why it's never going to attract the top talent. Because it competes with other leagues. It competes with the NFL. It competes with Major League Baseball. And it competes with the NBA. It even competes with hockey, even though soccer is a bigger sport in this country now than hockey is, as far as attendance. I think in TV ratings. That might be a lie. I might be making that up. But the point is, as long as you have the big three, baseball, American football, and basketball, soccer in this country is never going to be big. And it's great that it's expanding and all that stuff, but it's not going to replace American football. It's not going to replace college, and it's not going to replace pro. And until that magical day happens, the MLS is always going to be a second-tiered league. And it's never going to attract the top talent. And as long as the Mexican League can pay players of... Look, it's one thing to say, look, we got, Pirlo, we got freaking Lampard and Gerrard and Kaká, and that's great. And the Mexican League doesn't have that. But you don't have them in their prime. The Mexican League has good players, maybe not worldwide known household name players like the MLS does, but you also don't have those people after their prime has come and gone. And that's why the Mexican League is a better league overall. That's why the Mexican League is one of the most watched and followed leagues in this country as well as in Mexico. It's one of the highest paying leagues in the world. If you look at the entire world, it's one of the highest paying leagues. And it's one of the most attended leagues in the world. And it's never going to compete. The MLS is not going to compete because Mexico, Liga MX is the league in Mexico. There's nothing else. Yes, there's baseball. There's a baseball league in Mexico, a professional baseball league. But it's not big. The big league is the Mexican League. Soccer is the king it's the king sport in that country. Here it isn't. So you're never going to have, a league that's going to compete with Brazil or England or Germany or Mexico or even Argentina or any place like that, where there is one sport, and that sport is football. But to blame the MLS, that's kind of silly. It's not the MLS's fault that there are other sports in this country that are more important. And you can say, well, the whole college thing versus football academies. But that's how the sports in this country are different than sports in other countries. Okay, the sports culture in this country are different than in other countries, and you can't compare them. You can't compare sports in Europe and sports here in this country. It's different. The way Americans look at sport and the way other people in other countries look at sport, They're different. It's a cultural thing. And so I don't buy the whole argument that Americans could provide. I mean, I do agree that if soccer was the only sport in this country, the United States would win a World Cup easily, I think. But that's never going to happen. The best athletes are playing other sports. And but the other problem is Americans like their sports a certain way, and soccer does not usually fit those criteria. Big, fast, strong. That's not how you always... There's no technical ability. Pulisic is the only player on the U.S. team that could play for a team that values silky smooth skill sets versus raw speed. Look, Jermaine Jones was fast and strong. Look at, what was his name? What was his name? Oguchi Onyewu, the defender back in the day. Big and strong. What's his name now? Altidore, big and strong. There's fast and big and strong. That's all they are. You know, that will get you far, but only so far. It's not going to get you over the top. You're not going to beat teams that have speed, strength, and skill. You know, it's just not going to happen. And I feel like American sports value speed and strength over technical ability in general. That might be a generalization, but that's why the culture of sport is never going to embrace a soccer, you know. But you can't blame the MLS. The players to a certain extent, but not fully. The fans, I agree with. The media always agree with blaming the media. The media are just ignorant, trouble. They like to brew trouble, and that's what they like. And whatever. But he had to blame himself. He had to blame himself for not being able to adapt to all those factors. He never adapted to them. He never took the blame. He never said, this is my fault. And he blew his good, the whatever good grace he had, he threw it out the window, and now he's fired. So as a football fan, in general, it was a good choice. And as I mentioned earlier, as a Mexico fan, I was very sad. Because as long as Jurgen Klinsmann was the United States men's national soccer team coach, I was never worried that the U.S. was going to... At no point during his tenure was the U.S. superior overall, as far as like the players and stuff like that. Now, we had our own issue last World Cup qualifying round. And when we can talk about that some other time. We're not talking about Mexico right now. Bruce Arena's up. And he had a pretty good record when he was with the U.S. Of course, making it as far as the U.S. has ever made it in the World Cup. And actually, and this is what I keep saying, I think he had the best players the U.S. has ever had during his time as manager. I don't know how he's going to do now. I don't think he's the savior. I don't know if he's the only option the USSF had. Maybe that's why they picked him, but I don't think he's going to have as much success because he doesn't have the players that he did. Back in the day, he had the best players the U.S. has ever had, that golden generation I keep mentioning. I mean, those guys are not the guys that we have now. The players the U.S. has now aren't even on the same rate level as those guys, but I mean, right now you have Dempsey, who's second place overall with most goals scored, or is it third? He's up there. You had Donovan, who just left, who's not coming back. I don't think he's coming back, but he's the all-time best scorer. And Howard, one of the best keepers, I think, in his prime, one of the best keepers in the world, and now he's not even good enough to be on Everton, and he got sent back to the U.S. The best teams the best players the U.S. has ever had are on their way out. And the bright future that the U.S. has, they're not even old enough to order a beer yet. So right now, Do I think it was the right decision to fire Klinsmann? Yes. Do I think Bruce Arena is just going to come in here and wreck the place? Or, Kings of CONCACAF? No. He doesn't have the talent. Not him. He doesn't have the talent in players. He just doesn't have that. And I'm not saying the U.S. isn't going to qualify. I thought the U.S. was going to qualify even with Jurgen Klinsmann, but now that's over and done with. So let's move on to, let's talk a little Premier League. First of all, let me talk about the West Ham Tottenham game last week. What a crap fest that was. One of the most poorly refereed games I've ever seen. Because I'll be honest with you, there was I think it was the first half, where Kane got brought down in the box. And Kane didn't really complain that much. I don't think that was a penalty. I wasn't complaining when I saw it. But he did he got brought down in the box, and Mike Dean did not call the penalty. Soon thereafter, he calls a penalty right after Harry Winks, bless his little heart. We'll talk about Harry Winks in a second. But after Harry Winks drew the game level, he called a really, really soft penalty against Vincent Janssen. And that was one of the worst. Look. Okay, technically speaking, any foul is a foul, right? A foul is a foul. And there's a list of what is a foul. All right, if you look on the FIFA manual for referees, there it tells you what a foul is. Okay, I refed for 5 years. I was USSF certified, and USSF follows FIFA rules. I was also high school certified, National Association of High School Refs or something like that. National High School Soccer Ref something. I don't remember what it's called. The rules are a little bit different, but it defines what a foul is. A foul is a foul. And a foul inside the penalty box is a penalty kick. That is the rule. Now, no referee in the world, no referee in the entire world calls every foul in the box. Because then you'd have 7 or 8 penalty kicks per game. Now, what's the right answer? Should we be doing that or should we not? I don't know the answer to that. I think if referees started calling every single foul in the box and penalty kicks started being really common, I think players would be more careful in the box and they would stop pulling and tugging and kicking and bringing players down. On the other hand, it would make players flop more. And that's already a problem. So what's the right answer? Look at frickin' Champions League Wednesday, Arsenal. Frickin' Alexis Sanchez takes a huge flop. Did he get hit? Sure. But he tripped, quote unquote tripped, after he got hit. So he gets hit, takes a step, and then trips. And then the referee buys it. Arsenal get a penalty kick. That's the kind of crap that you're going to get more of. People like him, just floppers, just little baby floppers, are going to get more floppy. And it's a downward spiral. On the other hand, if you're not going to call every single foul in the box, then don't call the fouls in the box. Because the foul on Kane in the first half, early in the game, was way more of a penalty, way more of a foul, than the one Vincent Janssen pulled back the West Ham player. That was a very terrible decision. Second half, Harry Kane gets brought down again in the box. He doesn't call the penalty kick. Right? He finally calls a penalty kick against West Ham when Heung-min Son goes down. Was that a foul? Yes. But by that point, I was screaming at the television like, call the foul. Call the foul. You're going to call their foul, but that weak foul, but you're not going to call any for us. And that's the problem. If he had never called that first penalty, that wasn't a penalty, then he would have never had to call the ones on, and nobody would have yelled at him. Nobody would have been on his case. It was a makeup call. Was it a foul? Sure. But he would never would have been in that position. Mike Dean would have never been in that position to have to call a penalty kick for Heung-min Son late in the second half to make up for the first one that he called. If he hadn't called the first one, that shouldn't have been called in the first place. Or call all of them, Mike Dean, Call all the fouls or don't call them. Don't call them unless they're really hard fouls, or then there has to be some sort of balance. All right. I think it was one of the worst jobs he's ever done, Mike Dean, in a Premier League game. And if you take away the penalty kicks, because West Ham fans, they're just the worst. Like, oh, it's just a makeup call. Of course it was. It was a makeup call. But let's take away the penalty kicks. So it ends up being 2-1 instead of 3-2. Like, get over yourselves. You still lost. That said, I think, I don't know what to think. We have not played well. Tottenham has not played well the entire season. We haven't had any continuity. Players being injured and suspended, and then injured and injured and injured. Like, if you name our injury list so far this season, it's our first team. From defense to forward, people in between, injured. And we haven't had any continuity. The fact that we're undefeated in 5th place, just a few points off the top of the table, is amazing. It's a miracle. But let's talk about Harry Winks super fast. How excited were you for Harry Winks when he scored the goal? You could just tell Pochettino was about to cry when Harry Winks just immediately ran to him and gave him a hug. That's how you know. That's how you know the players are in with the coach. Instead of celebrating with his buddies on the field, instead of going to the fans and saying, yeah, he runs straight to the manager and gives him a hug because he's the one that gave him the opportunity. He's the one that believed in him, and it was really good. It was really good to feel and watch that. That was a really great moment for me to be able to see something like that. And then, of course, Tuesday, the big stinker that they laid in Monaco, which, first of all, I think a lot of people are underestimating Monaco. I think I was one of those people. I was like, oh, it's just Monaco. Yeah, okay. I think they've taught everyone a lesson. I think they're going to be good going forward. So congratulations to them. They're a good team. But we did not play well. And look, whatever the case may be at Wembley, we need to get that sorted out because we're playing there next season when White Hart Lane is completely demolished and we have no home stadium. We're playing in Wembley. So if something about Wembley is not working for us, we need to start making it work. Because if we play in the league like we play, if we play in Wembley in the league like we play in Wembley in Champions League, we're gonna have a bad day. We're gonna have a bad time. Okay, in front of 85,000 fans, we can't play like that. And it was always going to be a challenge to lose at home to Monaco, lose at home to Bayer Leverkusen, and then try to go on the road and salvage points. That was always going to be tough. You got to win your home games and try to get a point on the road. And when you're losing your home games and you have to win on the road, that's even worse. And so, deservedly, we are out of the Champions League. And I think it's going to be a lesson learned. I think it's going to be hard for the play. I was really disappointed. I thought we would make it out. Then again, I thought it was going to be Leverkusen, Tottenham coming out of the group, not Monaco. Because again, I think we all underestimated them. Maybe except their fans. But if you look at their table, they're doing really well in the French league. And you can say, yeah, it's the French league though. But yeah, look what PSG did to Arsenal yesterday. And that's just PSG, and they're not even... Monaco's ahead of PSG in the league. Okay? So, I mean, that doesn't really mean anything. Take it for what you want to take it. Point being, we underestimated them. And finally, let's take a look at this week's Premier League action. So the big... Oh, wait, let's talk about Arsenal and United real quick last weekend. I think that was... I didn't watch the game. I had business this weekend. The only game I got to watch was West Ham Tottenham because I recorded it. But I did see how United really dominated Arsenal and they got a point at the end. And that's such a United thing to do. Remember back in Alex Ferguson's day, United would have not played well, be losing 1-0 against a smaller team. You're like, ha ha ha! Look, United's gonna lose against this team, and they'd get 2 goals in Kind of like what Tottenham did. 2 goals in extra time, in added time at the end and win, or be tied and win, or be losing and tie. Things like that happen all the time in the Sir Alex Ferguson era. And now it's happening against them, and it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh really hard because United dominated that game from start to finish. Arsenal had one good play in the second half, and it led to a Giroud goal. And I think it's so funny that it was Giroud, because Giroud is the player Arsenal fans love to hate. They hate on him. They hate him. But he's always the hero, which I think is hilarious. Because if you start the man, if he starts, he doesn't score, and he stinks up the place. But if you bring him off the bench, he's going to get you a goal. It's ridiculous. But I just wanted to touch on that for a second. So the big game, of course, this weekend is Chelsea-Tottenham. That's going to be I can't imagine us going to Stamford Bridge and coming out with a win. You know, if this was maybe 2 weeks from now, I would say maybe, once players get healthy. But we played on Tuesday. They don't have any midweek games because they're not in the Champions League, but we are, and well, we still are, because we still have more games to play. But I don't think we're going to win this game. I don't think we're going to stay undefeated after this weekend. I don't think we're going to beat Chelsea. I don't think we're going to be able to stay tied with them. Who knows? I mean, Harry Kane has the highest goal ratio in London derbies than anyone else in the history of the game. And you remember last time we played Chelsea at home. I mean, away. That was a complete disaster. I don't think we're going to win. I don't think we're going to win tomorrow. It's not because of them, mind you. I think if we were at the peak of our powers, we would definitely give them a better game. But I just don't think we are. I don't know if Lamella's going to be back. Toby Alderweireld is not going to be back. I've read rumors that he's going to be ready for the game, but I just don't see him being back. I don't know about Lamella. Is Harry Kane 100%? I don't know. He played the entire Champions League game. I don't know if that was a good idea or not. I don't know what to say, man. I just don't think we're going to come out with a win. Manchester City visit Burnley. That should be a pretty easy game. Middlesbrough visit Leicester City. And can we stop calling them champions? Can we please stop calling them the champions? The champions host Middlesbrough. No. They are not the champions anymore. Okay, they won it last year. This is a new season, and they have 0% chance of winning. And the way things are going, they're going to be more likely battling for relegation than trying to battle for even Europa League. So can we just stop talking about them? I hope they get relegated. Screw you, Leicester City. I'm sick of hearing about them. They still call them the champions. Can we stop that? We didn't do that with Chelsea last season. We're too busy, sticking our heads up Leicester City's butts last year to be like, this, okay, I hope Middlesbrough embarrass them at home. I don't know who's going to win that game. Because the logic says Leicester at home probably going to win, but Leicester suck this year. They suck hard. So, I don't know, maybe a draw? Swansea City hosts Crystal Palace. That's... Ugh. I almost feel bad for Bob Bradley, but I don't think he's going to win. And I read a really interesting little factoid. Out of all the divisions in English football, so you got the Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2. Out of all those teams, in 2016, no team has been worse in this calendar year than Crystal Palace. The other teams that were really bad, Dagenham and Redbridge, and I forgot the other one, got relegated from League 2 to the no longer in the Football League. That's how bad they were, and Crystal Palace is still worse than them this calendar year. So, wow, good job, Crystal Palace. I happen to like Pardew, but he needs to do something because Crystal Palace are on a nosedive. Swansea at home, maybe they get their first win against Crystal Palace. Hull City at home against West Brom. I think West Brom can win that game. Sunderland at Liverpool. I could not believe Liverpool got held to 0. I couldn't believe it. I mean, Coutinho and Firmino, between the two of them, missed 100 golden chances to score, and they couldn't do it. Amazing. I don't think that happens again. I don't think that can happen twice in a row. I think Liverpool are going to demolish Sunderland. I just don't see any way out of for Sunderland to visit Anfield and come out with a win. Chelsea hosts Tottenham at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm probably going to have some sort of heart attack that day. I'm predicting we lose. I'm predicting we lose. I hope we win. I think we can win. I think we can at least hold them to a draw. I think it's going to be similar to what happened against Arsenal last 2 weeks ago. I just don't think right now we're healthy enough to go away to Chelsea and beat them. But can we hold them? I think we can. I think we can win. I think we can hold them to a 0-0, maybe a 1-1. I don't think we're healthy enough to beat them more than that. And maybe we can hold them to 0 and beat them 1-0. But that is the best we can do. 1-1, 1-0 us, or 0-0. I don't think if they score 2 goals, we're going to have what it takes to score 2 goals against Chelsea. This isn't West Ham, guys. This is a different beast. Okay? So, can we do it? Yes. Do I think we will? No. On Sunday, Stoke go to Watford, which is an interesting matchup. Bournemouth go to Arsenal, so that should be a good win for Arsenal. Everton and Southampton, that's a very interesting game, in my opinion. I really like Southampton, but they're not doing so well, and I really don't like Everton. And I like to watch them struggle. And finally, West Ham go to Manchester United. And look, if they play like they played against us, which they won't, because they have this thing where they like to beat Tottenham. It's a really weird mindset that they have, where Tottenham is a rival to them, but they're not a rival to us. You know, our rivals in London are Chelsea and Arsenal. The end. Like, we don't care about QPR. We don't care about Fulham. We don't care about West Ham. Okay, we don't care about you. You're nobodies. On the other hand, they care a lot. They care a lot, especially Tottenham. They care a lot about beating us. So if they play with that same intensity, I think they could give Manchester United a run for their money. Will they? That's a different question. I don't know if they will. I don't know if they, after what happened last week, with them being so sad, if they're going to be able to muster that kind of intensity again. Who knows? I don't think so. I hate West Ham. I hate Manchester United even more. I would love for West Ham to get a win in Manchester United. I think that would be hilarious. But I don't think that's going to happen. So that's what I think about this week coming up. We'll see what happens. If we can stay undefeated until everyone gets healthy, we need people healthy coming up for the holidays. You know, that Christmas schedule in the Premier League is brutal, and we're going to need everyone healthy, or else I don't know what's going to happen. But Pochettino trusts the youth. We have plenty of youth players that we can use. I mean, Harry Winks is getting some play time. We still have players that haven't gotten really some first team minutes yet, but we have them. They're on the team sheet. So, but we need people healthy, or this is going to slip away. This is going to slip away if we don't get healthy and get some sort of rhythm going, because we have the players to really push for a title. We do. We did it last season, and it's not because other teams didn't. It's because we were good. But now we're not having that same consistency because the players can't stay healthy. Other teams are doing better, and now we need to get back into last season form. So we'll see what happens. That is my prediction for the Chelsea game, though. I think they're going to win 2-1, maybe 2-0. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, though. I don't think they're that much better than us. But right now, I don't think we have what it takes to go to the Stamford Bridge, especially after what happened. Like, oh, I hope Diego Costa like breaks his leg. I said it. I hope you break your leg, you bastard. What a piece of crap human being that guy is. Anyway, I got that one off my chest. I hope you break your leg and never play football again, ever in your life. That's it. But we'll see. All right, so I'll catch you guys in the next episode of Soccer Talk. That's what this show is called, Soccer Talk. It's not really called that, but anyway. All right then.